Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Living World of Darkness, Rage Across New York, the Guru venue. Today's scene, we see that the time has come once again for another Rite of Passage. It is time for a cub to step up and be recognized as an adult of the Guru Nation. This is a time for happiness, but it is also a time for contemplation, a time for wisdom, a time for honor, and a time for glory. We open to the Sept of the Green, outside of the Cub cabins, where a kinfolk has presented himself. This kinfolk bears obvious Fianna purebreed. He is dressed in little more than a hand-tooled deer hide kilt and an axe strapped to his back. Upon his skin are Celtic swirls and knotwork of green and tan paint. He stands, and in a clear and lilting tone, he calls out to the Cub cabins. I seek the cub known as Maebh Macfion, known to the Sept of the Green as Snow White. She has been summoned by the Den Mother, Mist Whisper, and the Master of Rites chases the storm. If she be here, I am to take her forthwith, so that I may fulfill duty to tribe and elder.
And inevitably, Maeve is going to come from around the cabins rather than from within them. And for the sake of ominous-dominusing it, I have spent a point of gnosis for the day so that I don't have to roll, because this seems like a bad time to have to do it. But she will poke her nose around the side of the cabin in Lupus, perhaps initially look puzzled, and at the very least be saved by the corner of the building from people catching her tail and for kind of fluffing in shock as various logical conclusions fall into place. So she'll take a moment to shake her fur back down and lift up her head a bit and finally emerge, glancing about at any who are out and visible as she goes.
Olaf has been on the porch. He likes being on the porch. It's sunny out today. Around the time that the kinfolk shows up, his head is perked up. Now with the emergence of Maebh, he gets up, shakes himself out. You can tell he'd probably been sunning himself for a while by now. He walks out onto the green and looks at Maebh. Well, seems you best be getting along now.
Lucas, for his part, is maintaining his vigil over the boys' cabin for a bit, and is currently seated on that little swing set. He's got his his staff right beside him. He notices the bit of action going on, but doesn't make a move to approach.
And Maeve will do her best to kind of steel herself, especially with at least that bit of encouragement. Take up a prouder posture and trot to close the distance between herself and the kinfolk. And she'll bob her muzzle and assume her breed form simply enough, and speak to him, saying, I am Maeve MacTheon. Please guide on.
The kinfolk will nod his head, and he will look to Olaf.
When he looks at Olaf, Olaf seems to sense that he's going to have to use these magical things called human words. And rather than profane the lupine throat, he gets all the way into Hamid. He's wearing the same clothes as he usually does, but they seem nicer today, almost like he took some of that treating solution to the leather. He might have combed something through his beard. It smells nice. Parts of it are braided. It's almost like he was expecting this. Well, good that you're here. Hold on a moment. Oi, Lucas!
And Lucas promptly gets off his ass and rushes toward the gathering. Yes, Raya?
I feel lonely without an escort. Perhaps you could come with me to be my accompaniment to this great affair.
Absolutely, Olaf, Raya, absolutely.
And he claps Lucas on the shoulder just a little too hard. Good, then it's settled. Lead on, young man.
And just a tiny note of the tension is going to smooth out some once Lucas has been given the excuse to follow.
Awesome, okay. Lucas will stifle a bit of a snicker as they are led on.
The kinfolk looks at the gathered group. He nods. Please follow me. And the kinfolk leads you not to the heart of the cairn. He doesn't lead you to Chase's small little hut on the outskirts of the shanty town. Instead, he leads you to Belvedere Castle. Upon getting to Belvedere Castle, you will notice that there are two other kinfolk standing almost sentinel on either side of the doors that lead into the building. And they are dressed much like the kinfolk that is leading you. The colors that make up the swirls and knotwork on their bodies are different. One is red and blue, and the other is white and brown. They nod at the approaching Guru, and without a sound, they open the doors. Kinfolk, without breaking his stride, walks up the stairs and into Belvedere Castle.
Maeve will actually balk for half a second at the door and glance up the side of the wall to see if the windows to the building have been opened to let in the current weather.
They have.
And so once she's managed to glance that much and there's no precipitation to avoid, she will just shoot out a prayer that that is close enough and go on inside, following on.
You will notice that it is the same temperature outside as it is inside the castle.
Then yeah, there's about a half-second balk, a glance upwards, and then she'll resume her previous stride.
The kinfolk leads you through the halls. You will notice where it was once a place of warmth and light. There are no fires lit. There are no... Give me 1 second. Sorry, guys.
Brief intermission song. We got a brief intermission here. While our Steve goes ahead and handles some things on his side. We can only hope that this particular interruption is only a short-lived distraction. Because when the day is done, we want to see the scene go on. Come on, everybody.
Austin, you should consider a career. You know, the noise when you're on hold on telephones.
You gotta have elevator music for the intermissions.
Absolutely.
Austin is the most talented.
I have the intermission song, which came out of the technical difficulty song, which had its origins far, far back, actually all the way in a few games ago, actually. 2013 maybe? I've been singing the song for about 3 years now.
I like Bob's new habit of just plugging Elwad during the intermissions.
See, if I'd known that Wolfhome was going to get all those hits, I'd have done just that. Just be like, so, if any of you have an interest in role-playing in a dark and miserable world where you will be mentally tortured, please join us at Living World of Darkness.
That is actually why I started adding the Elwad ad to all of my YouTube videos.
Just in case you get like 2,000 hits.
Heck, even 10 hits, as long as they're not people who are already playing, there's always a chance you get a new player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's why I always have the header to all my scene titles, actually. So that when people go ahead and search them on the YouTubes, sometimes they find my stuff, sometimes they find other people's stuff.
Yeah.
Alright, sorry about that. Okay, so as I was saying, where before Belvedere Castle was a place of warmth and light and comfort, it is now solemn, it is quiet, it is respectful. There are no kin roaming the halls. It is almost empty. The kinfolk who is leading you will lead you over to a door that has been left open. Through the door lead stairs that go into the basement.
Is he leading us down, or is he pausing at the door to have us continue on?
Pause at the door. Go ahead, roll me. Everybody who wants to, go ahead, roll me perception alertness.
Nope.
2.
Oh, 1.
All you need is 1. Anyone who got 1 or more can hear soft-throated singing coming from the basement, floating up and into your ears.
Well, then, I suppose Maeve will take half a moment to bob her head to the kinsman as he stops, and then continue forward.
Fish?
Doing something.
What? No? Oh, yes.
Okay. Sorry about that.
It's all good.
Okay. So you can hear the singing that is coming from underneath this, from the basement. And the kinfolk has paused outside of the door.
Then yeah, it was a light nod, and then, unless he's going to hold a hand when she goes to take a step forward, she'll move to continue.
He doesn't move. He takes a step to the left and stands at the door.
Then she will continue on down this actually unfamiliar staircase. This is not somewhere she's been before in the castle.
Being dead parent, Olaf of course follows.
Being the escort, Lucas follows the din father.
The singing gets louder as you move down the stairs. It's quite a long staircase. But eventually, you can see flickers of light from the basement. Almost like little tiny torches burning. The staircase makes a right turn and it goes down even further, and as it goes down even further and the ceiling of the basement slowly rises to admit you entrance, all of you are greeted to a sight of every one of the Fianna kinfolk of the Sept within a giant circle in an empty room. Each one is dressed as the kinfolk that you have seen before, each with different colors painted on their skin. And you realize that the singing is a group chant in a language that none of you really understand. But the words being used are uplifting, are hopeful. But within there is a sense of solemnity. In the middle of the circle stands Mist Whisper, and beside her, in his helmet form, every bit the right master, stands Chases a Storm. There are torches scattered about, but they do not add any warmth to the room. Same brazier that is behind Jace's. and it is burning with a cool, refreshing blue light.
Well, Maeve has been thrown entirely out of her comfort zone, pretty successfully. She will descend the staircase, and unless there is any sort of gesture given, any sort of guidance given, will potentially just pause there, looking onto the whole spectacle. There is zero attempt, because she has zero ability to conceal just the sense of awe that's being created by just the length that has been gone to prepare this setting.
Lucas,
Mm-hmm.
I want you to roll me perception alertness really quick.
All right. That one I get 1 success.
As Chase's storm eyes come up to meet each of the three of yours, did you see a narrowing of his gaze as he looked at you? You're not entirely sure.
May I roll empathy on that one?
Go ahead.
All right. Mm-hmm. 3 perception, 4 empathy. Wow. Does the specialty of interpersonal psychology help me out here?
No.
Okay. That is still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes, my good sir.
That gaze definitely narrowed, specifically at you.
Mm-hmm.
Do I catch that with 2 successes?
I think your dice stream. Did you roll and I just?
Oh, I already cleared it, and if you didn't get to confirm it, then it doesn't exist.
No, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I trust you. 2 successes. You saw there was a narrowing of the gaze. Narrowing of the eyes.
Okay. In which case, Olaf actually sneaks a peek down to himself to make sure his fly is not open on this occasion or something. And confirming that his clothes are in order. Hasn't done anything too insane yet that he knows about. Glances back at Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
Away with you, boy.
If I am dismissed.
You are.
He goes ahead and sort of mumbles under his breath. Gotta be with you all. And he'll go ahead and make to leave the chamber if nobody stops him.
Nobody stops you. The chanting remains unchanged.
Noted. Lucas is probably going to go ahead and stay on the first floor of the Belvedere Castle if nobody stops him.
No one will stop you.
All right, cool.
But the king at the door will not talk to you. He will not move. He stands as though he is a living statue.
Lucas can definitely appreciate that. It's not going to go ahead and test that in any way, shape, or form.
The song continues for a few more moments. Then Chase's takes one step forward, and 3 times the butt of his raven-headed staff hits the floor, and the chanting ceases. Maebh Mac Fionn, I have called you here on the words of the Den Mother, Mist Whisper. Do you know why you are here today?
And assuming there is an appropriate gap there for her to look through, she won't be making direct eye contact because that's a no-no, but we'll be looking his way and we'll bow her head. I can only assume, Raya.
Chases a storm and look at Mist Whisper. Den Mother, speak the words you have spoken to me.
The spirits proclaim that Maeve MacFionn is ready for her rite of passage, to be tested if she is worthy of joining one of the great tribes of Gaia. It is not my place to judge her fitness as a Fianna, however. Were she blood of Falcon, I would. But I would not infringe upon the territory of the Fianna by pretending to dictate such a rite of passage.
He will nod. Olaf Tryggvason, Den Father of the Sept of the Green. Do you accept the judgment of the spirits and that they urge Miss Whisper in this?
I do, Raya.
He nods his head. And for the spirits present here, and for the kin who bear witness, I ask you, Miss Whisper, and you, Olaf, I ask you first, why do you think that Maeve will fail this test?
Sorry, was that me or Olaf? I was distracted and typing.
Both of you. It was for both of you.
Yeah. I do not know what will happen, but I can tell you what has happened. Every Fianna I have met has been a great and proud warrior. Vocal and enthusiastic. Maeve. Are these traits that you demonstrate?
She'll probably reflexively start with a faint shake of head and then find her voice and say simply, "No, Raya."
And Mist Whisper will nod and won't say anymore.
Chases will probably be able to demonstrate his utter lack of surprise as Olaf speaks, now that Miss Whisper has spoken her piece. I suppose if she were to lose all of the blood in her body, or both arms and a leg, or all 4 limbs, she might fail. Otherwise, no, Raya.
Right. Then for the spirits, and for the kin that bear witness here, explain to us all why you think she will pass and become recognized as an adult and Cleath within the Garou nation.
Maeve has put in great effort to learn in the areas which is enthusiastic and takes her auspice duties seriously. Stands her in good stead.
And once he takes a pause to make sure that Miss Whisper has finished speaking, because God forbid you interrupt Silverfang Adrian in much of anything. I should succeed. Well, I would say that if one has the type of courage it takes to fly up into the heavenly umbra, stare down a leviathan, drag a fellow Garou to safety in its wake, go into battle time and again and apply themselves properly instead of losing their damn minds, they'll make it as a Garou. Raya.
He nods. He steps forward again. Maeve, child, I will admit that there are times where I think on you as my own daughter. As us all, you have moments of strength and you have moments of weakness. And he hides it not as he looks back up the stairs where Lucas left.
She'll briefly take on something of a, I don't want to say a frustrated expression. It's not quite the term I'm looking for. But kind of a, more of a stubborn, the familiar kind of wrinkle of nose she does, as for once it wasn't her idea. God damn it. And she'll take a moment, and seeing as there is a pause there, she will actually speak up in her defense and say, Raya, Lucas was invited by Olaf as an escort, not by myself.
His eyebrows will raise slightly. And you have the capacity to learn from your weakness. These are the things that make up all Garu, all servants of Gaia. So I will ask you a question, and this be one most important to your future and life as a warrior of Gaia. For regardless of auspice, be it Theurge, be it Rune, be it Galliard, be it Philodox, or be it Ragabash, all who are children of Gaia are warriors. It is our duty, and it is our damnation. Speak now for the spirits present and for the kinfolk who bear witness to your ascension. Which spirit calls to your heart?
She potentially seems balked for about half a second by the phrasing, but still very stubbornly, very strongly, draws herself up and says, I would be a child of Stag, Raya.
He closes his eyes. There is an audible sigh of relief. As unbidden, at least in a visible sense, the chanting of the kinfolk in a language unknown to you begins again. Chases steps back and he moves to behind the brazier. I ask the Den parents who speak for Maebh Mac Fionn to stand beside her.
And Mr. Whisper doesn't say anything, but simply walks over and sits or stands behind next to Maeve.
Olaf is already in a very tactical position to take his place on the other side of Maeve.
It is then that Chase's voice joins the kinfolk, and the music shifts. It becomes less of a chant and more of a hymn, as there is a sense of growing gnosis within the basement. The fire flares, grows, and it shifts colors. Goes to red, to yellow, to orange, to palest green. And it becomes deep, deep green of the forest. The fire emits sparks as Chase's voice reaches a crescendo The fire becomes a blaze, but there is no heat. There is only the scent of fresh cut pine, of crushed leaves in the fall, of clear, cool wind. As from out of the sparks leaps a stag. It is pure white. Its eyes a deep amber. The antlers on its head still covered in the velvet of spring. Its voice is clear and needs no translation. Maebh, my child, my daughter. Step forward.
And for the sake of note, by time the stag actually emerges from the blaze, Maeve has only seen but so many large spirits, but this is one that she's seen no higher member of its brood than rabbit or squirrel, as far as she knows. And so she is shaken, not in composure as far as how she holds herself, but by time it finally manifests, she's probably got tears in her eyes, potentially starting to spill out, just because it's a very shaking moment. But she will hold herself up, and as she's bid closer, will approach. Probably somewhat tentatively for the first step or two, but draw herself up to meet it.
The stag will raise its head. Are you ready, my child? It is time to fulfill your duty to tribe an elder. It is time for the test of wisdom.
I hope so, Great Spirit.
The head of the great stag reaches down, and its muzzle comes closer and closer, and it touches the center of your forehead. As it touches the center of your forehead, there is a flash of white, and then darkness. Boudica! Boudica! They've come. It is time. Wake up. We need you.
And I'm assuming Maeve comes too, with someone over her.
You come to
And
in a
shakes
room.
herself awake.
You come to in a room. The door is shut. There are no windows. There is a light blanket draped over you.
I'm assuming I'm doing this with all of Maeve's faculties intact. So there would be shock at the strange name, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess once she comes to, especially in the unfamiliar setting with the unfamiliar cry, she'll probably fly in shock out of the bed, kind of look down at herself, try to figure out what's going on.
You're just in hide. You still see yourself as yourself. Your hands are your hands. Your legs are your legs. Your feet are your feet. The bed that you were laying on seemed something of a cot, scattered with animal skins, bound logs and branches.
Alright, so she'll kind of glance back at that and probably blink a couple times, look about her thoroughly. Is whomever is speaking to her there in the room?
Nope. Boudica. The tribal elder, the clan elders have gathered. They await your word.
She'll look around herself. Is there any other formal dress or armor or anything set out nearby, something that she should be wearing?
There is no armor. There is an axe. On the side of the room, on one of these small tables, you will see something of a silvered plate. That is empty.
I mean, does it look like a wash plate, or is it kind of distinctly out of place?
It's not distinctly out of place, but it is odd. The place is made of wood. It's a dirt floor. You can see that there is the remnants of a fire in the middle of the room.
Then she will, for the moment, go to the door, draw it open.
Boudica. I thought you came down with a head injury. Are you all right?
I think so. I am a bit disoriented. What am I being called for?
You were struck on your head. The legions, they're here. They're going to attack. The clan elders have gathered. They await your word. They want to know what we're to do. What you want done.
Then she's going to turn about, fetch up the axe. If she has a belt or something to sling it in, all the better.
As you pass the corner of the room, you will catch something out of the corner of your eye on the silver plate, something that doesn't look normal.
She will investigate.
It's blurry, but you see your reflection on the plate that is on the table. But it isn't your reflection. It is a reflection of raven hair and blue eyes.
She'll take it up and hope that it can be written off as she takes up the plate and not only looks to her face, but turns her head either direction to see if there is a visible remnant of the injury he's spoken of.
There is a bandage wrapped around your head.
So with the plate in one hand, she will reach up to kind of gently, not probe at the area, but kind of feel at it, try to determine how severe it is.
It hurts. But it's sort of a far away hurt. It's not your hurt.
All right. She'll knit her brow, set the plate back down. And after a moment of obvious kind of befuddlement, head towards the door to follow this person who is waiting there for her.
Okay. He leads you out of the small hut, and when he leads you out of the small hut, you don't see anything that looks remotely modern. You see more shacks made of wood and mud. You see people garbed in hide, some studded leather. You see them bearing axes, daggers, small swords. Some look as though they are warriors. And again, like the ghost of the pain at your head, you get a sense, an echo of the fact that you know these men, you know these women. They're strong. They're yours. They're your family. You need to protect them. They are here because they trust and love you. He leads you through the outside. He leads you into a bigger room, a long house, as it were, that has a blazing fire in the middle. And seated around a rather large table, there are about half a dozen older women and men. They look at you when you enter. And the man who waited for you at your door stands at the door, at the entrance, and doesn't move forward. One of the older women rushes up to you and grabs your hand. Baudica! Oh, praise be it. We are so glad. We thought you were struck down. We are so glad to see that is not the case. We need your advice.
Quick clarification thing. Do I feel the same possessive need to protect the village, physically, the land, the buildings, as I feel for the people themselves?
No.
Like, is that echo as strong? Okay.
No.
All right. And she'll, I mean, looking befuddled seems to be kind of her staple at this point, but she'll smile and say, I've taken a good rattle. I'm still piecing things together again, but I am here.
Good, good. Please, sit. We have much to discuss.
And she will eagerly come to join them, kind of paying a little bit of attention to whether or not she's able to balance as normal, whether or not her body is moving as normal, because a head wound is nothing to shake a stick at. But we'll settle in quickly and look expectantly around her to get the story on what is happening.
You sit down and you wait for a couple of minutes. And there seems to be a hushed conversation that quickly ends after you sit down. One of the men stands up, and he looks rather grim. There is 3 fingers on his right hand that are missing. They look bandaged, but the bandage looks dirty. In fact, all of the bandages on the warriors around you look dirty and old. And you can see that they are tired. Our scouts have spotted the Roman legions. They advance like demons. But luckily they have made a small stop. We have a chance to get away. We have a chance to retreat and save what we can of the Iceni clan. To fight another day, Boudica. We cannot survive another frontal assault. We can't. And another man pipes up. Are you calling our warriors weak? Are you calling them worthless? Another woman shouts back, that is not what he is saying. They're tired. We are all tired. We need to choose the right path, Boudica.
Is there any sort of map, God help me, available on the table? Anything showing the lay of the land?
There are figures. Small carved figures. One that looks like a roughly carved Roman soldier. A roughly carved house. Farther away, another roughly carved house. And a roughly carved version of a Celtic warrior. The Roman figure is currently stationed or put right next to the house. Same with the Celtic warrior and the other house.
Are there any other houses set on the board, as it were, or on the table?
No. It's very basic.
What of our allies?
What allies? This is only our clan. You know this. The other clans, they can't help us. It is your decision, Boudica. How should we proceed?
Of those who remain, how many of our warriors are still ready for the battleground? How many are still capable of wielding their weapons?
We have 50 who remain able-bodied and uninjured, another 40 who can stand and fight, and 30 or so that are injured and cannot bear weapons.
And when I was en route between point A and point B, I assume there's a supporting group of people that are obviously not dressed as warriors.
Everyone that you saw was dressed as a warrior.
Oh boy. So no children, no like obvious wives or anything like that.
You saw boys as young as 18. There were no distinction between child and parent, wife or husband. Each of the members within your small little encampment was clothed as a warrior, was armed as a warrior.
All right. Good distinction to know. Do we know why they've stopped?
It's possible that they could be devising some sort of strategy. It's possible that our flight has tired them as much as it has tired us, and they are taking a break. We do not know. We don't have anyone on the inside.
Have our scouts managed to find a place that is more defensible?
No. It is just open fields between here and Londinium.
And she'll pore over the board, thinking.
There is an older gentleman who looks grave, who looks almost, you see a flash of possible.
A flash of what?
You see a flash of possible hereditary likeness to Chase's Hamid form in the man. But he is far older than Chase's. There is no red in his hair. It is all silver, and he is scarred. His eye is missing. A chunk of his nose is gone. There is an ear that is not to speak of. When he speaks, his voice is wheezy, gasping. I say, we burn the place to the ground. And one of the older women smacks her hand down at the table. No! We cannot do that. There are innocents in that city. There are people not involved in this. And the man leans up and he looks at you and he goes, innocents who have no ties to this clan. Innocents who would be better served by giving us a chance to get away and fight another day. But it is not my decision. It is Boudica's.
And what lives can they expect at the hands of Roman soldiers? This she'll turn to the woman who made the protest.
She looks shocked and hurt.
It is a question. It's not phrased
No, I know.
incredibly forcefully, but
No.
okay. I just wanted to make sure.
She looks... Why? They'd be alive, Boudica. They'd not be dead. Being alive is worth more than being dead. Ain't it?
And she's going to kind of feel around again for those echoes. Does she feel any sort of connection to the people in that village? Any sort of longing from the person that she's essentially riding?
Give me a gnosis check.
Okie dokie. Current?
Raw.
Damn it.
You don't feel one way or the other. You look, and it's just not there.
A life in chains is not living. What traps can we set? What can we do to harry them while they are at rest in this town? Can we foul their food? Can we spill it to encourage pests to harry them?
The older gentleman that made the first suggestion scratches at his beard, and he looks down and he looks at you. And how would you suggest we do that?
She'll quirk her brow.
We don't know how long it is that they will be in the city. We don't know if within the next 10 minutes that they'll leave and not take their time in getting here. We have to make a decision now and implement it.
If we do not know that they will stay, how can we know that setting fire to the place would have any effect? They could be gone by then and we could be down the men that we sent.
If we choose to set fire to the town, there is a wall that guards it.
There's a what?
There is a wall that guards it, that is higher than any man can feasibly climb in the time it takes to be safe from flame. Some of our men can infiltrate the city and keep the gates closed.
And she'll mull on that. Who resides there? Resided there before the Romans came. What clan?
Does knowing their clan name or names help?
At the very worst, it means that their sacrifice is remembered.
It tells you a few clan names that seem to float into your ears. There is a spark of recognition on a few of them. He
Can I
does,
kind
however,
of... Oh, sorry.
there is a note that he makes that there are also Roman citizens within Londinium. And and Britain freemen.
And I assume Londinium is the place that we're talking about? Or is he talking about somewhere else?
He keeps saying Londinium, but you hear London.
Ah! Is he making glances at the board, anything that would cue me that that is the place he's talking about, the place that we're talking about burning?
Yeah, he's
Okay.
do it.
She'll lean forward, set her elbow on the table, start kind of rubbing her brow, mulling over the options. Do the rest of you agree that this is a tactic that will work, that will guarantee our people's safety?
And the woman who raised objections before looks at you and scoffs. Aye, but at what cost? We do this and we are no better than they. And another man slams his fist on the table. No better than they, but we survive to fight. And we can make them pay back the lives that we take today 10 times over.
And she'll look to the women, to the woman. How many have we lost fighting them?
It's easy to say that we have lost count, milady.
We've lost what? Sorry.
Easy to say that we have lost count, milady. Your daughters remain safe.
She kind of knits her brow.
Upon the word daughters, you feel an immeasurable amount of rage. Again, this isn't your rage. It is but the echo of rage. But it is swift and it is fierce. You feel flashes of hurt, of pain, of violation.
Do I have the vaguest idea of where they are? Is there any sense of direction, any sense of, like, kind of the person I'm writing recalling this, perhaps?
They're to
Or
the south.
thinking about it?
You get a sense
And,
that they are to the south.
and the direction of London is, I'm sorry, from where we are?
North of here.
I'm going to kind of try to gauge the people around me, gauge how they're feeling on this, how many are against it. I know obviously at least one, but
Sorry?
oh, sorry, she's going to try to gauge the feelings of those around her as far as this plan. It's obvious that at least one is strongly against it, but how many are for, how many are against? Reading expressions, reading posture, reading carriage.
Two of the men, it seems split down the middle. Two of the men feel uncomfortable. The man who suggested it is confident, and the two other women are looking at you with brave faces.
So she will look in turn to each of those who are against it. Can any of you give me another option in which we survive, in which our clan continues to fight?
One of the men looks at you. We can run now, not wait. We can run now, and hopefully we can make it to the crossing before they leave Londinium. It is not a guarantee. We could die, all of us, in the attempt.
So she'll gesture towards the place where the Romans are stationed. You said this city has walls. I assume it has only so many gates. Is it possible to set fires where the Romans are crouching to bar those gates, but to leave one open where the people who lived there have been pushed to on that side of the city? Even if it does not demolish the city, a fire is a good distraction. It is a chance for us to get our people moving and to throw them into disarray so that they cannot mount an attack on us. It will destroy their gear. It will destroy their armaments. It will shatter their morale.
Besides, the man who suggested it, if we allow, and he clenches his teeth so hard that you can hear a popping in his jaw. If we allow the people of the city a means to escape, it will alert the Roman legions. It could also mean that the Romans could escape as well. And if they escape, and our men are as close as they need to be to set fire to the city, we're dead. And the woman says, looks at the man and goes, "You aren't talking. You're talking about mass murder." And the man looks at her And he doesn't look angry at her words. He looks sad, and he looks resigned. And he goes, I know. I am suggesting it not because it is the right thing to do, but because it is necessary. It is what is needful. And often, what is needful is not the right thing to do by anyone.
How do you mean to set these fires? Send our men into the city? Fire from the wall?
We have arrows, and we have archers, and we have oil, and spare rags. We send any men who volunteer into the city at the gates, east, west, and south. Have them bar the gates. We will need to send at least 3 men to every gate. These men will die, but they will be remembered. They will be gone, but never forgotten.
Have the soldiers integrated into the city, or have they taken a portion of it for themselves?
We do not know. We are unsure whether or not they have made a certain corner of the city their home, or if they have overtaken it and overtaken the homes of the citizens.
If we could rob them of their supplies with fire, rob them of their horses, they would not be able to give chase without the need to murder an entire city of people. You
What did,
seem to think that this will not work.
what did you say?
She said basically if we could set fire first to their supplies, if we could cut free their horses, I do not think that they could give a proper chase, regardless of whether or not they survived.
They have chased us this far without horses. Save for the officers.
How many are the people of that city? How many are soldiers?
We do not know.
Then remind me, for I recall little of the battles. I am still recovering. How great is this army? How many men?
We have whittled them down to 200.
And do we know nothing of the city before they came?
It is Londinium. It is a Roman city. It was built by Romans. It was built for Romans.
And just on the off chance, do I still feel any link to my primal urge, to my rage, to telltale guru traits?
Again, it's like a shadow. I mean, it's your shadow as opposed to
Okay.
someone else's.
Then we begin now to move out those who cannot fight. We take our volunteers. We go to the city.
And once we are at the city, what will we do, Boudica?
Unless my view from the wall changes my mind, we bar it, set the fires.
The woman who raised her voice does not shout, she does not wail. She just quietly and silently begins to weep.
And she'll shoot a sympathetic glance her way. It is not the way I would have it, but I will not have my entire people killed. I will not have us slaughtered to the last man as we run for cover that we're not guaranteed.
As you say, Boudica. You are leader here. We are just your voice of reason. The men and the
And
women.
I need your voice as much as his.
If you see this as the way, then it shall be so. I weep not for your decision, but for the souls that will be lost this day. May Mannanan have mercy on their souls.
And she'll bow her head to that.
And with that, the three men and the three women rise, and they begin to walk out of the lodge and into the field. They walk first, and they guide you to the tents and the huts of the injured, of those who can still walk but cannot fight. These men are missing arms. These men and women are missing arms. Their chests are bandaged. Their heads look to be somewhat split open. There is a man who is surrounded by others. He is screaming as an axe is raised and descends swiftly across his leg, severing it. As you see a red-hot shovel descend on the wound. His cries are muffled by the piece of leather between his teeth. The limb that is severed, you can see, has already begun to rot.
And she will walk among them as she is led from place to place. She will offer a reassuring hand to those who seem downcast. In the case of the man suffering the loss of his leg, his rotting leg, if she is not stopped, she will come and be one of the people who puts a hand on his shoulder.
You're not stopped. There are murmurs and whispers. There are moans of the name that you are being called here. Most are being said with a reverent tone, even if they are clouded by pain and misery.
And I assume that the word is being passed as they're going from place to place, that they have to ready themselves to move.
Mm-hmm.
And so she will do everything in her power to keep morale high, to drive them to readiness to do this. They're tired, they're weak, they've seen too much battle. Every ounce of drive that she can put into them, they'll need to get them where they're going. So
Go ahead.
none of it is a moment wasted.
Roll me charisma leadership.
Oh, I wish I had more. May I put in the effort to spend a willpower?
Yes.
Oh, good. Because the thought of botching this horrifies me. So 5 successes.
They rally. They make preparations for movement. What horses you have are used to carry the most injured. Some are loaded into wagons, or rather carts,
Mm-hmm.
shift ones. Some are on the horses themselves. The men who can fight but are injured help those that are too injured, while the freshmen and women remain standing, using that time to prepare themselves for whatever you have planned. For right now, the only ones that know of your plan are the elders and you. The man who looks similar to Chase's comes up beside you. I would pick your volunteers now.
She'll nod and move herself. Probably there are those who are very fit, who are ready to see battle, and there are those who are riding on stubbornness and will. And so it is to that group, the ones who are willing to fight through whatever injuries, even though they know that they are not at their peak, that she will go to and address them. And gesturing to the wagons as they're being prepared, gesturing to those who are being moved to take flight. She will say, I do not mean to let my people die, but we must make sure that the enemy cannot follow us, that they cannot overtake us and kill us out in the fields, out in the open, where we have no chance of defending each other. To do this, some of us will have to go into the city to bar the gates. I would not wish such a role on any of you. And so I ask, Are there any of you who would volunteer for this duty? For an honorable death, to make sure that your kin, that your clan survives you?
Make me another charisma leadership.
Oh, goodness.
Actually, I'm gonna need this to be manipulation leadership.
Just two.
You get a sense that the words you're speaking aren't necessarily the words that were spoken at the time. You realize that had it just been your words, that they wouldn't have believed you. They wouldn't have believed your commitment to this plan. But 9 men stepped forward. 9 men and 1 woman. It is at this time that a ghost of shock passes through you. And you recognize the woman standing before you. Oddly enough, she looks like you. Not as you in the plate, but you as you. You know this woman's face. You've known it for years. You've watched it grow. You've watched it change. You've watched it take the mantle of adulthood with honor and wisdom and glory. This is your daughter.
I assume that she is as well in the same shape as the others who have stepped forward.
Yep.
Ooh.
One of her arms is splinted and bound, and she looks at you, her jaw set. Her eyes reach down. She says, "I am sorry, Mother. I did not wish to deceive you, but I had to do what was needful. I couldn't sit back there. I couldn't sit in safety while my family, while my clan fought. I hope you understand."
Unless the push to do so is otherwise, the that Echo is so repelled by the idea, she will actually move forward to clasp her good shoulder.
There isn't a response from the shadow.
And she'll look down the line.
The men in the line are similarly set. There was no hesitation from any one of them.
And she'll step back, look at all of them. Only 9 are needed. Do any of them waver in the least?
Nope. None of them step back.
And I got the sense that there were multiple daughters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then she'll kind of set her jaw. Then we are amply prepared, should one of you fall, before the deed is done.
There is a sense of relief that goes through all 10 of them. And the man that woke you from your dream, woke you from sleep, it seems, comes to you and he says, "We need to go now, if this is to be done."
And again, it's obvious through motion that all the plan has been explained so that people are grabbing the appropriate gear, grabbing oil, etc.
Mm-hmm.
I assume. Then she will tilt back her head and bellow. We move.
Go ahead, give me that charisma expression.
I wish I could have my pure breathe so bad right now. Let me look at where I'm sitting. I will hold on to the rest of my willpower for now. Fucking dying here. God damn it. Still only 1.
Again, you get the sense that if it was just you, your conviction wouldn't be enough. Your dedication would falter. But they hear your words, and they begin to move.
She'll internally kind of kick herself a couple times. But, I mean, what else can she do?
Mm-hmm. It is quite a walk to the outskirts of Londinium. The night sets in deep and dark. It is a new moon. The only thing that you can see are the stars and the lights coming from the city. The army halts, or not the army, your clan halts. And the 10 individuals join you in the front. They have since changed. They are no longer wearing the hide, the leather armor. They are dressed in black cloths. The axes that they bear are hidden. And they wait quietly at the head of the gathered clan. The man that looks suspiciously like Chase's joins you again, and he goes, "It is time to decide. It is time to make the decision."
Just, well, how close are we to the city at this point? Just outside of it?
You're about a mile away. You can see it.
Is there any chance that just from, well, I guess not in the midst of the night, there's not exactly going to be a noise level to indicate how many are inside?
Nope. You do see that that a lot of the lights are moving, especially along the wall.
Are they out of archer range up there?
Yes.
Well, just like in general, like as we get closer, will we be able to fire on them up at the top?
Yep. Your daughter joins you as you continue to walk. Mother, you have to let me go. The life that I have here is not one that I would live.
What life would you live? What life would you have chosen?
I would serve my clan and my family to the best of my ability. If Briet willed it, I would have taken your mantle when you were ready to pass it along. I would have borne you strong grandchildren, so that your honor and your glory could live on. But that is no longer the case. I am tainted by what those men did to me. And they deserve justice. And they deserve vengeance. It is my will that my last action on this earth is to be that instrument.
Then you will do it. And you will do it with such glory that I instead can sing of your exploits. You will be so fierce in this battle that your memory rivals mine, or that you will not be in it at all.
Yes, Mother. You are getting very close to bow range at this moment. Luckily, through no conscious choice of your own, there is You have yet to be spotted. The 10 individuals are with you, as with the elders, as those trained with a bow step forward, their arrows not yet lit.
Then she will gesture them forward.
They stand before you. Each one does not make any movements. Their back is straight and proud, their eyes unwavering. And the man who is with you, who has not left your side since you left the encampment, speaks again at your shoulder. You should say something. Speak to them, so they will not falter when the time comes.
And she'll look upon them, each in turn. She'll make a point of catching their eyes, of making a connection with each.
None of them avert their eyes. Instead, they look at you. They look at you, and you get a sense that each one of them is your equal. There is a shadow that wishes that you could join them. But it is quickly pushed aside by fierce pride.
And so she will speak. And say that it is your deeds, more than any other, that will see our clan through, that will see them survive. I will sing of each of you. Be quick. Be silent. Do what you must do. And then throw yourself at the enemy with all the ferocity that I've come to expect from you.
Each one of them nods. They split off into groups, and they disappear into the night. It is some time before you hear the voice again. Give the order.
She'll set her jaw for a second. Look to the archers. I assume they're all lined up and ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll grind her teeth for a couple moments, and then finally call out to them. Annihilate the people who would wipe us from the plains. Fire on the city.
In the back of your mind, there is a sigh of relief as you see each one of the oiled rags lit and fired. You witness the arrows fall, descend upon the city in blazing glory. You witness as the city begins to burn. And on the wind you can hear screams of pain and fear. The blaze begins to grow brighter and brighter. And your eyes wide out, and then there is nothing but darkness. Until you hear Chase's voice. Maeve, it is time to wake up.
And I assume she's going to find herself on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And
Chase is standing next to Stag. And if spirits of stags could smile, Stag would be grinning from ear to ear.
she'll probably be a bit disoriented, at least initially, but she's going to, as quickly as she's able, try to find her feet, stand upright. And in the wake of what she just witnessed and seeing real joy on the face of the spirit that's already affected her so deeply, she'll probably come up kind of scrubbing her cheeks before drawing herself up proudly.
Chases will look at you. And so, was witnessed by the spirits and by the kinfolk present. Wisdom grows. As you, Maeve, explain what you have learned from this test. Explain to me why there cannot be glory without wisdom, wisdom without honor, or honor without wisdom.
And she'll take a moment composing her thoughts, trying to catch and remember all of these questions. And as far as recounting what she's done, I totally lost it. God damn it. Can you repeat the whole questions for me so I can get it set in my head again?
Chases asks, explain what you have learned in this test. Explain why you cannot have glory without wisdom. Wisdom without honor, or honor without wisdom.
And weighing this with the same severity as the rest of this trial, She'll perhaps hesitate in speaking, trying to find perhaps a more artful way to phrase it. Without the wisdom to do what must be done, we cannot do anything that we would glory in. We cannot claim glory for small deeds, for things that we have done without thinking. Glory is in knowingly taking action. Likewise, without the wisdom to be able to weigh what should be done, what must be done against what we might personally wish to be done, we cannot truly claim to have honor without that understanding. And likewise, without honor to guide us in making those decisions, we cannot truly claim to be wise.
And what here, today, have you learned?
I have learned again that what I may wish to do, what would please me, is not always what must be done. That there is no shame in dying gloriously and in the defense of your own people. I have heard it many times, but to see warriors so willing to embrace death and to do it joyously and furiously in the defense of the things they love, it's more real than being told it time and time again. And it sits with me a lot better, I think, than I would have ever imagined it would.
What if it is your belief that was needed?
What if it was what?
What if it was your life that was needed?
If my life being given will save the people that I cherish, then I will give it. I will always do what must be done.
Chases nods, and he steps back. Once again, Stag looks at you. His eyes, his head lowers until he is looking at you, his amber eyes meeting your green. I pronounce, in the name of tribe Fianna, as witnessed by my son chases the storm, master of rights of the Sept of the Green, that Maebh MacFionn has passed her test of wisdom. When next we meet, child, your skill will be most needful. And with that, Stag paces around 3 times and disappears into blue-tinted sparks. I do believe, unless anybody has anything that they would like to do, that this is a perfect place to end this scene. We thank you, players, for playing. We thank you, watchers, for watching. This has been a scene for the Living World of Darkness. Rage Across New York, the Guru venue. When next Maebh steps before the right master, she will be tested in the ways of skill. Good night, everybody.